Then, hello guys, welcome, welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. So, hello guys, welcome to Ashutosh Coaching Center. Now, today we are going to start chapter number 9, and the name of chapter is Strategy Enhance and in Baltani Strategy for Enhancement in our Food Production. Okay, now let's start the chapter. With ever increasing population of the world, enhancement of the food production is a major study, and the biological principle as the multiplied to the animal husbandry and the plant breeding have major role in our efforts to increase food production. Several new techniques like embryo transfer technology and tissue culture techniques are going to play a pivotal role in our further enhancing food production. Animal husbandry. Animal husbandry is the agriculture practicing breeding and raising livestock. As such, it is a vital skill for farmers and is as much science as it art. Animal husbandry deals with the care breeding of livestock like buffalo, cows, pigs, horses, cattle, and sheep, camels, goats, etc. that are useful to humans. Extend it get polluted, it get included poultry farming and the fishes. Fishes are include the rearing, catching, and the spelling of fish, mollusca, shellfish, and the crustacean, prawns, crabs, and since the immemorial animal like bees, silkworm, and ponds, crabs, fishes, birds, pigs, cattle, sheep, and camels have been used by the human product like milks, eggs, meat, wool, silk, honey, etc. etc. It is estimated that more than 70% of the world livestock population is in India and China. However, hmm, however, surprising to note that the contribution to the world farm produce is only 25%, that is productivity per unit very low. Hence the in addition to the conventional practice of animal breeding and care, newer technologies also have to be applied to achievement of employment and in quality and the productivity. 99.1.1 the management of farms and the farms animal professional approach a professional approach to have what have been traditional practices for of farm management gives us the much needed to boost your production. And let us discuss some of the management procedure employ in various animals farm system. 9.1.1.1 dairy farms management. Dairy is the management of animal for the milk its product for the human consumption. Can you the list animal you would accept to find dairy? What are different kind of product that can be made with from dairy farms? In dairy farm management, we deal with processes and the system that increase yield and improve quality. Milk yield is primarily dependent on the quality of breed in the farm. Selection of the food breed is having the high yielding potential under the climatic condition on the area combined with the resistance diseases very important for the yield potential to be realized. To have cattle well looked after, they have to be house well, should have adequate water and to be maintenance diseases. The feeding of cattle should be carried out in a scientific manner with special emphasis on a and quality of fodder besides stringent and cleanliness and hygiene. Both of the cattle and the handlers are the paramount important while the milking and the storage and the transport of milk and its products. Nowadays, of course, much of these processes have become mechanized and which will reduced chances of direct contact of the produce and with the handler. Ensuring these stringent measures would of course require regular inspection with proper record keeping. It would also help to identify and rectify the problems as early as possible. Regular visited by the veterinary doctor would be mandatory. You would probably and it and interesting if you were prepare a questionnaire on diverse aspect on dairy keeping and then follow with the visit dairy from locality and seek answer to question. Okay, set two questions. And now poultry farm 9.1.2, poultry farms management. Poultry farm is the class of domesticated fowl birds used for the food and theirs. Okay, eggs, and they typically include chickens and ducks, sometimes the turkey and geese. The word poultry is often to use refers mean the birds, these birds, but is in more general sense it may refers to meat of other birds too. As in dairy farming, selection of diseases free, suitable and breed proper and unsafe farm condition, the proper feed and the water hygiene and the health care are important component of poultry farm management. Okay, now next line पे हम आते हैं. hmm. You may have seen TV news or read newspaper reports about the birds flu virus, which created a scare in the poultry and the drastically affected egg and chicken and consumption. Find out more about and discuss whether panic reaction was justified. How can we prevent the spread of flu in case some chicken are infected? Okay, and 9.1.2 एनिमल ब्रीडिंग क्या होता है नॉर्मल देखते हैं. द ब्रीडिंग ऑफ एनिमल इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ एनिमल हस्बेंड्री एंड एनिमल breeding aims at increasing yield of animals and improving the desirable qualities of produce. For what kind of character would we breed animals? Would the selection of character differ and the choice of animal? What would we understand by the term breed? And a group of animals related by the descent and the similar in most character like general appearance, feature, size, configuration, etc. are said to be a breed. Find out the name of some common breed of cattle, poultry in the farm of your area. When breeding is between animals of the same breed, it is called interbreeding. And while the other breeds are different, मतलब बोलते नहीं है, while other या cross between the different breed, then it is called outbreeding. Okay, अब इनब्रीडिंग के बारे में थोड़ा ज़्यादा डेप्थ में देख लिया जाए तो इनब्रीडिंग होता क्या है. सिंपल सी बात है, इनब्रीडिंग होता क्या है. तो इनब्रीडिंग को देख लेते हैं. इनब्रीडिंग refers to the mating of more closely related individual within same breed 4 to 6 generation, and the breeding of strategy is as follows. Superior males and superior females of the same breed are identified and the mated in pair, and the progeny obtained from such mating are evaluated, and superior males and females among them are identified for further mating. Superior female in the case of cattle and is the cow or buffalo that produces more milk per lactation. On the other hand, superior male is the bull and which gave us rise to superior progeny as the compared to the those other males. Try to recollect homozygous pure lines developed by the Mendel are discussed in chapter 5. A similar strategy is used to developing pure lines in the cattle was used in a case of peas. Inbreeding increases homozygosity and increases interbreeding is necessary if we want to evolve pure lines in any animals. Inbreeding expose harmful recessive genes that are eliminated in selection, and also in accumulation of superior genes, elimination or of desirable genes, and therefore approach were uh, approach there were the selection each step and increase the productivity of inbred population. And however the continue the inbreeding, especially the close breeding inbreeding, and usually introduce fertility even productivity, and this is called inbreeding dispersion. And whenever it becomes problems, and selected animals of the breeding population should be mated. Now, with unrelated superior animals of the same breed, this usually helps store fertility and yield outbreeding. Outbreeding is the breeding of unrelated animals which may be which may be between individual of the same breed but having commonly ancestor 4 to 6 generation out crossing, or between different cross breeding or different species like interspecific hybridization. Okay, what is outcrossing? This is a practice of mating of animals within same breed but having no common ancestor or on either uh, side of pedigree. Up to 4 to 6 generation offspring of such mating is known as outcross. It is the best breeding method for animals that below average productivity in the milk production growth rate and in beef cattle etc. A single outcross often help us to overcome inbreed depredation. Cross breeding क्या होता है? In this method, superior males of one breeds are mated with the superior female of another breeds, and the breeding allows the desirable qualities of different breeds to be a combined, and the progeny hybrid animal may themselves be used for commercial production, and alternatively they may be subjected to someone on other interbreeding and selection to develop new breeds, and they may be superior to existing breed, and many new animals breed have been developed by this approach. Hizardale is a new breed of sheep developed in Punjab by the crossing Bicanary Ewes and the Merino arms. Okay, and the interspecific hybridization. In this method, male and female animal of two different related species are mated, and in some cases, the progeny may be combined. Desirable feature of both parents may be of considerable economic value. Example mule फिगर 9.2 हैव मतलब 9.2 में दे रखा है, ठीक है. डू यू नो व्हाट क्रॉस लीड्स टू बी प्रोडक्शन ऑफ म्यूल? The controlling breeding experiment are carried out using artificial insemination, and the semen is collected from the male and that the chosen in parent and injected to the productivity of tract selected by the female by the breeders, and the semen may be immediately or can be frozen and used later date, and it can also be transported in the frozen forms and where the females is housed, and in this desirable matings are carried. Artificial insemination help us to overcome and several problems of normal mating. Can you discuss and list of them? Often the success rate of crossing male and female animals is fairly low even through artificial insemination is carried out, and to prove chances of successful production of hybrid, other means are the used multiple over ovulation embryo transfer technology. Moet, moit. That is also an important part. Moet is the one of such program for hub improvement. Okay, and in this cow is administered hormones and FSH activity to follicular maturation and superovulation instead of one egg which they are normally yield per cycle. They produce 6 to 8 eggs. The animal is either mated with elite bull or artificially inseminated, and the fertilized egg at 3 to 32 cell stages are recovered and non-surgically and transferred to surrogate mothers and genetic mothers is available for another round of super ovulation. The technology has been demonstrated for the cattle, sheep, rabbit, buffalo, mares, etc. etc. and high milk yielding breeds of females and high quality lean meat with less lipid and meat yielding bull have been bred successfully to increase herd in size and in a short time. Beekeeping or apiculture is the maintenance of hives of honeybee for the production of honey, and it has been age-old cottage industry. Honey is the food of high nutritive value and also find use in i- indigenous system of medicine. Honeybee is also produce beeswax and which finds many uses in industry. ठीक है, such as in the preparation of cosmetic and policies various kind. The increases demand of honey has to be lead large scale beekeeping practice, and it has become a stabilized and income generating industry, whether practiced on a small or a large or on a large scale. But beekeeping can be practiced in any area where there sufficient bee pasture of some wild shrubs and fruits and orchid and the cultivated crops. There are several species of honeybees which can be reared of these. The most common species is Apis indica. Beehives can kept in one courtyard on veranda of the house or even the roof. Beekeeping is not a labor intensive. Beekeeping is through the relatively easy, does require to specialized knowledge, and there are several organization and teach beekeeping. Okay. Hmm. And the knowledge point are important for the successful beekeeping. Knowledge first, knowledge of the nature habits of bees. Second, selection of suitable location of the keeping beehives and the catching. Third is catching and the hiving of swarms group of bees and the fourth, the management of beehives during this season, and fourth is the handling and the collection of honey. Bees and bees are the pollinators of many crops species, and chapter 2 such as sunflower and brassica apple pear keeping beehives in crops and during the flower period increases pollination efficiency improved in yield beneficial both from the point of view the of crop and the honey yield. Fisheries, what is fishery में क्या होता है? फिशरीज क्या होता है? फिशरीज में देखो, fishery is an industry devoted to the catching fish, processing and the selling of fish and shellfish and other aquatic animals, and a large number of our population is dependent on fish and fish product and other aquatic animals such as prawn, crabs, lobster, edible oyster, etc. for food. Some of the freshwater fishes which are very common include catla, rohu, and common carp. Some of the marine fishes that are eaten include hilsa, sardine, sardines, and mackerels. And the pomfrets find out what are the commonly eaten in area. Okay. Hmm. Now, fishes are important place in the Indian economy. It provides income and employment of to the millions of fishermen and the farmers, and the particularly in the coastal state. For many, it is in the source of livelihood, and in order to meet increasing demands on the fisheries, the the different technique have employed to increase production. For example, through the aquaculture and the pisciculture, and we have been able to increase the production of aquatic plant and animal, both freshwater and marine, and find out the difference between the pisciculture and the aquaculture. ओके, तो यही आपका होमवर्क भी रहेगा कि आज का, जिसको आपको लिख के लाना है, ठीक है। एंड this has to be late development of flourishing and the of the fishery industry, and has to be browsed out, about a lot of income and to be farmers in a particular and a country in general. And now we now talk about blue revolution as implemented along the same lines as green revolution. Okay, now 9.2, uh 9.2 प्लांट ब्रीडिंग क्या होता है? The traditional farming can only yield a limited biomass as a food for humans and animals. Better management practices and increases and can increases yield, and but only to a limit extent. Plant breeding as a technology as a helped increase yield to a very large extent. Who in India has not heard of green revolution, which was responsible for our country to not merely meet national requirement for the food in production, but also helped us has in even exported. Green revolution was independent to a large extent on population on plants breeding technique for development of high yielding and diseases distance and varieties of in wheat, rice, maize, etc, etc. What is plant breeding? प्लांट ब्रीडिंग क्या होता है? अभी तुमने प्लांट ब्रीडिंग पर पढ़ा है, तो फिर से पूरा गया प्लांट ब्रीडिंग होता क्या है। तो देखो, प्लांट ब्रीडिंग is a purposeful manipulation of the plant species in order to create a desired plant type of that are better suited cultivation for give better yield and are disease resistant. And the conventional plant breeding has been practiced for the thousands of years since the beginning of human civilization, and recorded evidence of the plants and the breeding date back to 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. Many present day crops are the result of domestication in time. Today, all the major crops are derived from the domesticated variety, and the classical plant breeding involves the crossing or the hybridization or pure lines, followed by the artificial selection to produce plants with desirable traits of high yield, nutrition, and resistance to disease. With advancement in genetics, molecular biology, and tissue culture, and plant breeding is now increasingly being carried out by the using molecular genetic tools. If we were to illustrate or characterize that, the breeders have tried to incorporate into a crop plant. The first, the first we would list be the increased crop yield and improved quality, increased tolerance to the environmental stress, salinity, extreme temperature, drought, resistant pathogens, viruses, fungi, and bacteria, and the increased tolerance to the insect pest would to be on our list too. Okay. Now, plant breeding programs are carried out in a systematic way worldwide in a institutional and commercial companies. The main steps is in breeding a new genetic variety of crop are collection of variability. Genetically variability is a root of any breeding program. In many crops, pre-existing genetic variability is available for from wild relative the crops. Collection and the preservation of all different wild varieties and the species and relatively of cultivated species followed by the evaluation for their characteristic is a prerequisite sorry requisite for the effective exploitation of natural genes available in population. The entire collection of plant seeds having all the diverse alleles of all genes in a given crops is called germplasm. Okay, evaluation and the selection of parents. Germplasm is evaluated as to identify plants and desirable combination of character, and the selected plant are multiplied and used in the process of hybridization, and the pure lines are created wherever desirable possible. Okay, and now cross hybridization among the selected person. The desired character have very often to be combined from two different plants parents, and from high protein quality of one parent need to be combined with disease resistance from the another parent. This is possible by the crossing hybridization. The two parents produce hybrids and the genetically combine the desired character in one plant. This is very time consuming and the tedious process, since the pollen grains from the desirable plant chosen as a male have to be collected and placed on a stigma of the flower selected as a female parents in chapter 2 on the how to make crosses have been described in very detail. Okay, also it is not necessary that hybrid combined desirable character, and usually only one in few hundred to be a thousand cross source and desirable combination. Okay, selection and the testing of superior recombinants. This step, hmm, now this step consists of the selecting among the progeny of the hybrid those plants that have been desired character combination, and the selection process of crucial to the success of the breeding objective and the required cares and the scientific evaluation of the progeny. This step yield plants that are superior to both of the parents, and very often more than the one superior progeny and plant may become available. These are self-pollinated for the several generators generation till they reach state of uniformly homozygosity, so that the characters will not segregate in the progeny. Testing, release, and the commercialization of new cultivators. The newly select lines are evaluated for their yield and other agronomic traits of equality, disease resistance, etc. This evaluation is done by the growing this in the research yield and recording their performance under the ideal fertilization application, irrigation, and other crop. The management practices and the evaluation in research yield Mm, is followed by the testing the materials in the farmers and the fields for the least three growing season at several locations in the country, representing all the agroclimatic zones and where the crop is usually grown, and the material evaluated comparison to the best available local crop cultivators. A check reference cultivators. India is the mainly an agriculture country. Agriculture should account for approximately 33% of GDP. मतलब इंडिया का जो 33% GDP जो है वो एग्रीकल्चर से ही आता है। और तो जानते ही हो नॉर्मली कोई बड़ा तो है नहीं। एम्प्लॉय नियरली 62% ऑफ पॉपुलेशन। आफ्टर इंडियाज इंडिपेंडेंस ऑन वन ऑफ द मेन challenges facing the the country was the producing enough food for the increasing population. As only the limited land is fit for the cultivation, India has the strive to increase yield per unit area for existing farms land. The development of several high yielding varieties of wheat rice in the mid 1960s, as a result of variety of plant breeding technique lead to dramatic increase food in the productivity in our country. This phases is often referred to as a green revolution. Figure 9.3 has represented some hybrid crop yield varieties. This is the figure. You can see this and understand very crystal clear. And now wheat and rice during 1960 and 2000, ठीक है ना, wheat production increased from 111 million tons to 75 million tons. Okay, while the rice production went up 35 millions tons to 89.5 million tons. This was due to the development of the semi-dwarf varieties of wheat and rice. Nobel laureate Norman E. Borlaug at International Center for Wheat and Maize Improvement in Mexico developed semi-dwarf wheat in 1963. Several varieties such as Sonalika and Kalyan Sona, which are high yielding and disease resistant, were introduced all over the wheat and the growing belt of India. And semi-dwarf varieties are derived from IR8 and Developing International Rice Institute IRI Philippines and the Taikung native from the Twal, and the derivatives were introduced in 1966, and later better yielding semi dwarf variety Jaya and Ratna were developed in India. Okay, now sugarcane. Saccharum barberry was originally grown in North India but had poor sugar content and yield. Tropical cane grown in South India and Saccharum of officerum and had to be thicker stem and higher sugar content but did not well in North India. These two species were successful crossed to get sugarcane varieties combining the desirable qualities and high yield, thick stem, and high sugar and ability to grow in the sugarcane areas of North India. Millet. Hybrid maize, jowar, and bajra have been successfully developed in India, and hybrid breeding have led to development of several high-yielding varieties and resistance to water stress. Hmm. 9.2.2 Plant breeding for disease resistance. A wide range of fungal, bacteria, and viral pathogens affect the yield and the cultivated crop species, and especially in tropical climate, crop losses can often be significant, up to 20 to 30% or sometimes even total. In this situation, breeding and the development of cultivators resistance to disease enhance food production, and this also reduce dependence or the uses of fungicides and the bactericides, resistance of the host plant in the ability to prevent and the pathogens from the causing disease, and it's determined by genetic constitution of the host plant. And before the breeding is undertaken, it is important to know the causative organism and the mode of transmission. Some of the disease caused by the fungi rust, are rust and example brown rust of wheat, red rot of sugarcane, and late light of potato, and by the bacteria black rot of crucifer, and by the virus tobacco mosaic, tobacco tonic mosaic. Method of breeding and for disease resistance. Breeding is carried out by the conventional breeding technique and described earlier, or by the mutuation breeding. And the conventional method of breeding is disease and resistant is the that of hybridization and selection. It is its step are essential identical to those hybriding मतलब breeding for many other agronomic characters such as yield and the various sequential step screening germoplasm. Hmm. Now, for the resistance source of hybridization for the selected parent and the selection and the evaluation of hybrid and the testing release of new varieties. Some crops varieties bred by the hydro hybridization and section for some diseases resistant to fungi bacteria and viral diseases are released. टेबल 1.1 इसको भी आप ध्यान से याद ही कर ले तो मेरे ख्याल से बेटर होगा. ओके, ये सब पढ़ाने वाली चीज़ नहीं होती है, इसे याद करना होता है इसे. A conventional breeding is often constrained by the availability limit of limited number of diseases and resistant genes that are present in represent and identify the various crop and the varieties or wild relatives, including the mutation in the plant through diverse means. And then the plant materials resistance sometimes lead to be desired genes and being identified. Plants have having these desirable and the characters can be either multiplied different directly or can be breeding. Other breeding method that are used sectioned amongst the clonal variants and the in genetic engineering. Mutation is the process by the which genetic variation and the created through the changes in the base of sequence within genes, and see chapter 5, resulting the creation of new character or traits not found in the potential type of. It is possible to introduce the mutation artificially through uses of chemical or radiation like gamma radiation, and selecting and the using plants and that have desirable character as the source of breeding. This process is called mutation breeding. Okay. Okay. And in mung beans, resistance to yellow mosaic virus and the powdery mildew were induced by the mutation. Several wild relatives and to and of different cultivates species of plant have been shown to have certain resistance and character but have very low yield. Hence, there is need to induce the resistant genes into the high yielding cultivate varieties and resistance to yellow mosaic virus. And behind the ये abelmochus esculentus was transferred from a wild species and resulted in a new variety of A. scullentus called Probhanji, Parbhani Kranti. Hmm. Now, all the above example involve the source of resistance genes that are same crop of species which has to be bred for the decreased resistance or in related in a related wild species. Transfer of resistance genes is achieved by the sexual hybridization between the target and the source plant, followed by the selection. 9.2.3 Plant breeding for the developing resistance and to insect pest. Another major cause for the large scale of distribution of plants and crops produce is insects and the pest infestation and the insect resistance in host crop plants may be due to the morphological and the biochemical or the physiological characteristic. Hairy leaves in several plants are associated with the resistance in to the pest and example resistance to jacid in cotton and cereal leaf beetle in weight and in weight solid steam and to non preference by the steam and savely and smooth leaved and nectar cotton varieties do not attract bulbworm high apathetic and acid low nitrogen and sugar content in maize lead to resistant maize and steam borer. Breeding method of insect for insect and pest resistance evolved the same step as the those for any for other agronomic traits such as yield or quality and are as discussed earlier. Source of resistance gene may be cultivated varieties and the germplasm collection of the top wild relatives. Okay, and some released varieties are hybridization and selection are insect are resistant and given point two. This is also important for the examiner point of view. Okay, and now 9.2.4 Plant breeding for improved food quality. More than 840 million people in the world do not have adequate people and meet their daily food nutritional requirements and are far greater than 3 billion people and suffer from micronutrients proteins vitamins and deficiency or hidden hunger and because they cannot afford to buy enough fruits vegetables legumes and fish and meats diets lacking essential micronutrients, particularly iron, vitamin A, iodine, zinc, and increase risk of diseases, reduce lifespan, and reduce mental ability. Hmm. Now, बायो अब पढ़ेंगे बायो फोर्टिफिकेशन क्या होता है बायो फोर्टिफिकेशन क्रॉप्स विथ हायर लेवल ऑफ vitamins minerals or higher proteins and healthier fats is the most practical means to improve public health breathing for the improved nutritional quality is undertaken with the objective फर्स्ट जो होता है इसका फर्स्ट क्या है प्रोटीन कंटेंट एंड क्वालिटी सेकंड ऑयल कंटेंट एंड क्वालिटी थर्ड विटामिन कंटेंट and fourth micronutrients and mineral content in 2000 my maize hybrid that had twice amount of amino acid lysine and the tryptophans and compared to existing maize hybrid and develop when wheat variety Atlas 66 having a high protein content has been as donor for improving cultivated it has been possible to develop an iron fertilized rice variety of containing over 5 times as much iron as in common consumed varieties the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, and the New Delhi has also released several vegetables crops and that are rich in vitamins, minerals, and example vitamin A in rich carrot, spinach, pumpkin, uh, and vitamin C enriched in bitter gourds and bathua, okay, and mustard, tomato, iron, calcium enriched spinach and bathua, and protein enriched beans, broad, labeled, frank, and and garden peas. सिंगल सेल प्रोटीन क्या होता है? Conventional agriculture production of cereals, pulses, vegetables, and fruits may not be able to meet demands for the food at the rate of which human and animals population increasing. The shift from the grains to meat and dates also create more demands for cereals as it takes 3 to 10 kg of grains produce of 1 kg of meat by animal farming. Can you explain the statement in the light of your knowledge of food chain? More than 25% of human population is suffering from the hunger and the malnutrition. One of the alternate source of protein for animal and human nutrition is single cell proteins, okay, therefore it is called SCP. And microbes are being grown on an industrial scale are as the source of good protein. Blue green algae are the spirulina and can be grown easily on material like waste water and tomato and potato processing on the containing starch, straw, molasses, and animals manure and even savage to produce a large quantity and can and and have and serve as rich in min proteins, minerals, fats, carbohydrates, and vitamins. Inc- incidentally, in, incidentally, such a utilization also reduce environment produce pollution. Certain bacterial species like methylphilus and the methylophus, and because its rate of biomass production and growth can be expected to produce 25 tons protein. The fact that edible mushroom are eaten by many people and large scale mushroom culture is a growing industry. Now, अब टिश्यू कल्चर क्या होता है? एक होता है सिंगल सेल कल्चर टिश्यू कल्चर क्या होता है? लेट्स चेक आउट tissue culture as a traditional breeding technique failed to keep pace with demand and to provide sufficiently fast efficient system for the crop improvement. Another technology called tissue culture got developed. What does tissue culture mean? It was learned by the scientists during 1950s. The whole plant could be generated from the plant, that is any a part of taken out and grown in the test tube, and sterile condition is common nutrients and media, and this capacity is to generate a whole plant for many cell explained called totipotency. You you will learn how to accomplish this is higher classes. It is important to stress here the nutrients medium must provide carbon source such as sucrose and also inorganic salt, vitamins, amino acid, grown regulators, and oxygen, cytokinin, and by the application of this method, it is possible to achieve the propagation on of a large number of plants in a short duration. This method of producing thousands of plants through the tissue culture is called micropropagation. Okay, each of these plants will genetically identically original plants from which they are grown. That is, they are some clones. Many important food plants like tomato, banana, apple have been produced on commercial scale using this method. Try to visit tissue and culture laboratory with your labor to your better understand appreciate the process. Another important application of this method is recovery of the healthy plant from the diseases from plants, and even if the plant is infected with a virus, the meristem apical of is a free of virus, hence can remove the meristem and grown into a vitro obtained virus free plant. Scientists have been succeed in culturing meristem of banana sugarcane. Scientists have even isolated single cell or plant after digesting their cell wall, have been able to isolate protoplasm and surrounding by the plasma membrane. Isolated protoplasm from two different varieties of plants, each having desirable change character, can be fused get hybrid protoplasm, which can be further grow from a new plant, and this hybrid can also called somatic hybrid. Okay, and while the process is called somatic hybridization, imagination a situation when a protoplast of tomato fused uh, with the potato, and when the grown forms new hybrid plant containing well achieved resulting formation of potato is unfortunately, and this plant did not have all the desired combination and the characteristics for the commercial utilization. ओके, नाउ थोड़ा सा ये समरी देख लेते हैं, उसके बाद क्लास ओवर करेंगे. समरी: एनिमल हस्बेंड्री इज द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ टेकिंग केयर and breeding domestic animals and by the applying scientific principle. The ever increasing demand for food from the animals and animal product both in the term of quality and quality has been met by the good animal husbandry practices. These practices include first management of farms and farms animal, and second animals breeding in view of the high nutritive value of honey and its medicinal importance. There has been remarkable growth of practice and of beekeeping or apiculture. Fishery is another flourishing industry, and meeting ever increasing demand for fish and fish product and other aquatic. The plant breeding may be used to create and which are resistant to pathogens and to inspect. This increases the yield of food, and this method also has also been to increase the protein content of the plant's food and thereby enhance the quality of food. In India, several varieties of different crop plant have been produced. All these measures enhance the production of food, and the technique of tissue culture somatics hybridization offer potential for the manipulation of the plant in to produce new varieties. So guys, thanks to watch video till the end. Then you are a part of our journey of NEET, so you should like, share and subscribe as you can. जितना हो सके उतना इसे लाइक सब्सक्राइब करो और इस वीडियो को फैलाओ. बाय बाय, गुड नाइट. आई मीन सॉरी, बाय बाय, सी यू इन नेक्स्ट वीडियो.